Hi everyone, and well done on submitting the iPad app submission. I hope you all feel accomplished and relieved. I know some of you struggled a bit to get progress work done on that submission. Hopefully that experience has taught you maybe how much time is required for this unit, and hopefully you can rejig your schedule in order to give yourself enough time to work on it. But for those of you who submitted and did well and feel like you've done well, and I appreciate that, and thanks very much for putting in all the hard work. Thanks very much also for doing the peer reviews on each other late last week. I appreciate that. So I'm going to spend a little bit of time now. I'm just going to show you some examples from earlier this year, the Capstone unit that was held at Swinburne University, where they deal with a different client, the Burundura Council, but kind of the same problem, the same approach to the problem. And I want to do it for two reasons. One is I want to show you the difference between what goes into the design strategy, which is due in week 6, and what you'll end up putting into the design proposal way down the track. Because essentially the design strategy does not contain design outcomes. It's just a strategy, it's a summary of your research, it's a summary of all the work that you've done so far, following that sort of communication strategy, what do we call it, worksheet. I'll put it up in a sec, you'll know what I mean. In fact, I might grab it right now. Design strategy worksheet. I'll put that up on screen now. So the design strategy is really a summary of this. There might not be a huge amount of content devoted to a map that may or may not be relevant to your particular solution for the Australian Red Cross. But all of these other component parts must be responded to and must be included in your design strategy. There's very little space here for showing your design of a new website, or showing your design of a chat bot, or showing a design of a new way to have the logo. If you want to have a new logo, that's great, and let's see the design ideas, but not in the design strategy. In the design strategy, you just tell us, we think the Australian Red Cross requires a slight adjustment to their branding in order to appeal to youth, something like that. So basically what you'll see now are examples from 2016, university students, Burundura Council, responding with these component parts in mind. Who are the client stakeholders? What is a communication statement? How would you define the problem? What are your innovation? What is your team's response to what you think is the design innovation or aims or outcomes? How are you going to respond to the design problem? If required, show a map if that's relevant. Content analysis, you analysing the Australian Red Cross's communication channels, their website, etc., etc. All that, the audit of that information. You're required to use infographics, information graphics, to provide summary snapshots of that information. So the work that you've been doing on the iPad app infographics should contribute to the development of the graphics to communicate the analysis of the Australian Red Cross's content. You've got to put in there the personas, the experience journey map, a couple of case studies, and your recommendations, which kind of details a little bit more what you think you can do for the Australian Red Cross. But, it's a summary of points, the key reasons for adopting the design strategy, why Red Cross should listen to you, how the strategy resolves the issue, what you predict will happen if the Australian Red Cross follows what you say, and what are the next steps to be taken, okay, design this, develop that, etc., etc. And then, of course, references. So that's really what we're going to be looking at in these examples, which I'm about to show you. So let's go to it. I'll close that for now, and I'm going to come back here. Now I've got, I think it's 3 different examples. Firstly, I'm going to show you, I didn't summarize. The other thing I want to show you this for is to distinguish between what the design strategy presentation should look like and what the design strategy publication should look like, and why they're different. So the first 3 examples are here. Okay, so this is the presentation of the strategy. So title, graphic, graphic, another graphic, summary. Difference between the, a customer service centered model and a customer centric model. A summary of their communication statement, or problem and communication statement. How can we do that? This is our sort of overall solution. An online chat forum and an online forum, etc. How do we do that? What effect would that have? What would our personas think about that? How would they respond? Etc. etc. Here are the detailed primary audience personas. Here's the communication channel audit. This is proof that it works. Look, we've looked at other councils and they've done this, that and the other. And that proves that it can work, what we're proposing to you. So you should listen to us. Where to next? Well, we think council should do this, that and the other. We recommend this, that and the other. Thank you. So that's their presentation. Now, keep in mind, that was a visual that went along with someone speaking. So if it was not me, because I have no idea really of the details of their strategy, if this was the real situation, you would have one of the students talking and delivering some more information other than just those slides. Now let's see what the publication for the same strategy looks like. Cover. Oh, whoops, that's the back cover. Front cover. Working from the inside out, part 1. Contents page. Intro. Off we go. Same graphic, but more text. Same question, but more text. New section, let's say. Same graphics, but more text. Similar amount of text, but with a bit of additional text. Same personas, but a bit more text. Okay, here they tilted it on the side because this was a printed item. This university required the students to print them. It's not what you guys have to do, so just ignore the tilt for the moment. But this is basically their experience journey map, their case studies, okay, and a bit more detail about what they recommend. So it's the same content that they would have had in their presentation, but it's got a little bit more detail. And it's designed to work as a standalone document. So keep that in mind. The second example, first one here, is going to be the strategy document. The presentation of the strategy document. Cover slide. Big question. Questions are great because it allows the speaker time to speak. Simple graphics. Again, if I'm speaking to you and you're trying to read, it's hard to do both as an audience member. So you don't have too much on screen or it's going to confuse the audience. It's going to confuse the client on the day. This is incorporating what we require for this document is to use a cascading style where the information is added to previous levels of the information and some of the previous information is kind of grayed out. So we want this kind of interactive sense of the communication building, the information building. So it is a requirement. Another couple of statements, simple, again, nice kind of pause screen to allow the speaker to discuss something. A simple restatement of the problem and the solution here. Right? What is the defined problem and what is their proposed solution? This is their 12 to 25 word communication statement down the bottom. And then beginning to go into the content analysis now of the Boroondara Council problem. So it's analysing or communicating the data that they've found on their websites. Proposing more questions. Okay, looking at the, that was looking at some of the other publication material, the communication channels. How are the people going to benefit from this? Who's going to benefit? Go on and show the personas, their experience journey maps. Then we're going to get into some case studies. Coming up, it's more personas and experience journey maps. Here's some case studies. That's a council in Manhattan and then in Geelong. Now, key recommendations. We believe this, that and the other. The hub should be such and such. It should have this kind of effect on its audience, blah, blah, blah. All right, so there's not a lot of information about the actual outcome. It's a summary. This is predominantly a summary of the research. It's a summary of your strategy. Now, if we look at the same strategy, but for this is the publication of it, the publication that's left behind with the client. Again, you can probably get a sense it's very similar content, but more text. All right. In fact, that's a fairly brief overall number of pages. Oh no, it's 16. That's the correct number. But it's got a little bit more detail. All right. Hopefully this is making sense. Now, third one and final one. Just have a quick look through this. This is their screen presentation slides. Right. Again, this is going to be used as a backdrop to someone speaking. 12 to 25 word communication statement summary. This is talking about signage, going into detail about the current signage, showing what's coming up, different visuals of the current signage. Again, this is like an audit of their communications. Very simple, clear, visually based, visually heavy, not a lot of text. Perfect opportunity to have these visuals up there in order for the student to be speaking to the client about the presentation. Nice little infographics. This is their customer journey map. I know I'm going fast, but I think you get the sense of it now. And when we compare this in a moment, this is their recommended solutions. A bit more consistency, signage indicators on the wall or something, projection of signage, mural painting. That's a great idea. App connectivity, right? So this is the extent of the design of their proposal. It's a couple of headings and a couple of little icons. There's no real detail gone into here. Okay, and let's just compare that to their publication, which is here. Okay, bang. There we go. Contents, intro, who are the stakeholders, communication statement, the 12 to 25 word communication summary statement. The aim of the strategy is to provide an informative experience by implementing a consistent wayfinding system in the city of Berundura. Excellent. Some graphics, current content. There you go. So no digital boards, no wall murals, no outdoor ambience, no projection signage. So they're clearly visually showing that this is these are the media channels that we're going to fill. This is our part of our innovation. These don't exist. We're going to make them. Pretty clear. All right. So there's their customer journey map. Into the personas. Case studies, and there's obviously their innovative component proposal, right? So now we're going to have all these digital boards, all these wall murals, all these 3 wall murals, outdoor ambience are going to be aimed for at Baldwin North and Kew, etc., etc. So again, that's the extent of the detailing. Bit more information here than was on the presentation slides, but there's no real designs here. So all that detailed design work that you guys are busting to get into, that comes after the strategy. It doesn't come for the strategy. So we'll just look at the brief again, right? So it's the assessment. This is the assessment overview. This is the content, title screen, client information, who they are, communication statement, define the problem, identify the opportunities that you find or you have found in your team for the design innovation and your response to it. Content analysis, personas and journey map, case studies, recommendations, and references. That's it. So now that's enough said there, I think. Please post any questions you have about the content this week, week 5. The really exciting thing this week is to really get into detail about setting up specific responsibilities amongst your team. For example, who's going to be in charge of spell checking? Who's going to be in charge of the layout of the actual document for, let's say, the presentation, and who's going to be in charge of the actual layout of the publication document, who's coordinating the content, who's planning, who's going to do the delivery of the presentation, who's going to speak, what are they going to say, who's going to be in charge of developing the graphics to communicate X, Y, Z from the Australian Red Cross stats and information that you found out. How are you going to present all this? So all this now is going to start to fall into place in week 5. So hopefully that's given you all a little bit more clarity about what this assessment task is all about. Once again, thanks very much for your work so far. I really hope that you guys are starting to feel a little bit more engaged than you were previously. It's been a little bit of a rocky start for some of us, and I'm sorry about that, but you know, it is the way it is, and I'm sure that we're going to make great work together, and I hope to see you soon online and in the chat rooms, etc. Thanks very much.